Research is at the heart of your History Day project. The sources you find will help you learn about what happened during your topic, but they will do so much more. I'm Sarah with Minnesota History Day here at the Minnesota Historical Society to share how to take these research sources and transform them into evidence for your argument and History Day project. The three hats of the historian describe the historical inquiry process for any historian, including you: research, analysis, and presentation. Let's focus in on historical research for a moment, which is when you'll use two different types of sources: secondary sources and primary sources. We call them secondary sources because the authors have second-hand knowledge of a topic. They are created by someone that did not have direct experience with the event they're writing about. This is where you start your project. Secondary sources are usually summaries or analyses that give you background information to learn what happened, the important dates, names, and places. These sources are often written by historians and might include books, biographies, websites, or documentaries. Primary sources are connected to an event by time or participation. These authors have first-hand knowledge of or experience with an event. While primary sources may be a really exciting part of the historical research process, they are often most useful only when you have the background information that secondary sources can provide. There are many different types of primary sources, from visuals like maps, photographs, or drawings, to text-based sources like newspapers, diaries, or autobiographies. But let's go back to the three hats for a moment. On their own, research, analysis, and presentation can be easy to understand, but figuring out how to move between hats can be a little tricky. As you move from research to analysis, you'll need to think about the difference between finding sources to understand a topic and building evidence to support an argument. So, how do sources become evidence? Evidence doesn't exist in the wild. Sources do. The primary and secondary sources you find during your research are the raw materials: books, photographs, websites, letters, etc. You use your sources to build evidence by applying analysis. Let's break it down a little more. We find a source that contains historical information. We gather information by reading the facts within that source, thinking about the quality of the information, the point of view of the author, and why it was created. And we build evidence by analyzing how it connects or doesn't connect to other information we have gathered to answer our research question. For example, we find a newspaper article about the 1969 moon landing. This source doesn't become evidence until we read the information and understand how it helps to answer our research question. And when we say making evidence, I want to make one thing clear. Building evidence doesn't mean making it up or being untruthful. Building evidence means we are being truthful to the source by analyzing what it's saying, who made it, and why, thinking about how it helps to answer our research question, and using the source to provide proof in our project. In this process, it also means that the same source can become evidence for different research questions. Let's consider the Declaration of Sentiments from the 1848 Seneca Falls Convention, which was a gathering to discuss the rights of women in the United States. This source might be used to answer questions about how the suffrage movement began in the United States, providing information about how it was the first women's rights convention and how the document outlined the rights attendees believed women should have. This source might also be used to answer questions about how people of color were or were not included in the early suffrage movement in the United States, showing who attended the convention and who exactly attendees believe should have these rights. While these are two different research questions, you can build evidence to support both from the same document by applying two different lenses to interpret the past. Your job as a historian is about more than just finding information. It's about what you do with that information. All of this hard work doing historical research will support your History Day project in two ways: what you know and what you show. You will know much more than you're actually able to put in the project. The background information and historical context will help you to understand what happened and how your topic changed history, which will help you to write your thesis. Your research will make a direct appearance in your project in your bibliography and process paper. Your research also informs the words you write and the evidence you select. And here's another one of those tricky transitions between hats, moving from analysis to presentation. There's a difference between proving your argument through evidence and decorating your project with sources. Let's take a look at this part of an exhibit about Lewis Hine, who used photography to expose the realities of child labor in the early 20th century United States. What do you see? The student-composed text, highlighted in orange, is where we see the student's argument and where they tell us the story of what happened. They've supported their ideas with directly connected evidence, highlighted in blue, that helps to prove their words. There are some decorative elements, highlighted in green. Since they don't help to prove the argument, they're limited in use, but still are directly tied to the topic. In considering the evidence you'll use, think pictures, maps, documents, newspapers, and so much more. These types of sources in your research will make for great evidence, and using a variety of source types will add depth to your project. The different types of sources that will be available for your topic will depend how long ago it took place and where it happened. You can use this worksheet to brainstorm what might be out there for your topic, which is available on our website. How this evidence appears in your project will depend on your category, and we have specific guidance for all 5 of the History Day categories. Here are a few general reminders that apply to all of them. Remember, we're not just decorating our projects. The evidence you select needs to be connected to your argument and the words you write. Each section of an exhibit, page on a website, section of your documentary or performance, or part of your paper needs your words and evidence to support it. It's a delicate balance, however. The evidence should support, but not overwhelm. In this example, take note of the exhibit on the left, which has some breathing room, which you can see in the red background. The exhibit on the right may have great information, but it can feel overwhelming with every inch almost covered. This means that you need to be careful in selecting the best evidence. Not everything you find will make it into your project. One easy way to help make these tough decisions is to focus on primary sources for your evidence. While both primary and secondary sources are okay to use, focusing on primary sources provides a direct link to the time period, rather than relying on other historians to make an argument for you. This is especially true for any quotes. While secondary source quotes give you an opportunity to bring in expert support for your argument and don't count towards any student-composed word limit, you should use these with caution. Too many secondary source quotes can easily overwhelm your own analysis or student voice in a project. Student voice is all about making sure that your ideas about the topic and thesis are clear in the project itself and is actually in the History Day rulebook and on your judge evaluation form. I hope that you stick around as we talk about strategies to incorporate evidence into each of the History Day categories. Good luck and happy History Day!